Hello, Instagram and Facebook. Happy Sunday night and happy Father's Day to all of the dads who are watching.
And my dad.
And Ty's dad. Extra special Father's Day to Ty's dad. So I am Brianna Bernard. I am a personal trainer, nutrition coach, mental strength, and accountability coach. And this is my little boy Ty, and we are back doing laundry room confessions. It's been a while. It's been a really busy.
Since I was in here.
I feel like it's been a really busy couple of weeks, so we haven't done it in a little bit. But we're back, and I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about, are you going to fold, or are we just going to
Yes.
make faces? If you're going to be on here, you got to be my helper, man.
I know.
So we are going to talk to you about something that I feel like has hindered me in my life and hindered my ability to be mentally strong, which has allowed me to be physically strong. And I think that something that stopped me for many, many years was my bad habit of worrying. I was a huge worrier and anxious person for especially my 20s. And it stopped me from doing so many things in my life that I wanted to do because of fear, because I was worried, because I had anxiety about certain things. And it really hindered my ability to move forward and be successful in every area of my life, in weight loss, in my career, in becoming a parent. There's so many things that I was always worrying about. And I realized that worrying wasn't going to change anything, and that most of the time, the things that I was worrying about, I didn't even need to be worried about because they didn't even happen. How many of you have worried about something that never even came to fruition, never even was a problem, or ended up being an issue? We spend so much time worrying, and worrying is a habit. It is not who you are, and that was something that was hard for me to comprehend at first, because I'd always just thought, I'm an anxious person. This is just who I am. There's nothing I can do about this. And I think part of that was not taking ownership, because then I didn't have to do anything to fix it. If I'm not in charge, if I'm not responsible for this, I can't do anything. I can't change it. I can just keep living like this and using that as my excuse. And so I had to take ownership of it and say, I am not an anxious person. I am not a worrier. I have a bad habit of being anxious. I have a bad habit of worrying about situations. And once I took ownership of it and admitted it, I could change it. And one of the things that I encourage my clients to do is, instead of trying to not worry, give yourself time to do it. And it sounds silly, but even blocking out some time every day to be worried, if you must. If you're really nervous about something, if you're anxious about something, if you're worried about something, make time to think about it. Instead of focusing on it all day long and letting it take over and prevent you from doing the things that you need to get done, worry the crap out of it for that set period of time, but then you need to turn it off and move on and be done with it for the day. And so giving yourself even, 15 minutes. I'm going to worry. It's time to worry. I'm going to worry about it, think about it, overanalyze it, catastrophize it, blow it up, freak myself out. Get it out of your system and then put it aside. You have to be able to move on from it. Because if you worry all day long, every day, you're not going to be productive in getting other things done. So at some point, I've had so many clients who I do mental strength coaching and accountability with say, at some point, I realized how silly this was, that I was setting aside time for worrying. And so I stopped setting aside the time, and I'm just not worrying anymore. And I know that has also been true for my life. There are so many things that we all need to get done during the day. So many tasks, so many hats that we all wear. And why are we wasting that time on worrying about what might happen, what could happen, when we could be doing productive things to make our lives better every single day? And The other piece of this is how many of you get that anxious feeling on Sundays? It's Sunday night, which means tomorrow is Monday, and we have an entire week to get through. Has anybody ever been super anxious on Sunday because you knew you had to go back to work the next day for the whole week? I used to be that person who would literally sometimes be in tears. I will openly admit that I have cried on Sundays at certain points in my life when I was unhappy with my job, with my career path, with school, whatever it was. I have legit sobbed on Sundays because of anxiety and worry about getting through the week and how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it 5 days at this job that I don't like, or at this in these classes that are killing me? And again, I had to admit and be open to the idea that I'm not a worrier. I'm not a worried person. I just have a habit of worrying. I have a habit of being anxious about this. And once I tell myself, I'm a worrier, I'm anxious, I have a habit of doing this, it's not me, I can choose to be different or feel different about it, then I had the power to change it. And, it's also it's interesting how sometimes people aren't willing to make those changes to make themselves happier. I think that we all know people, or we've been the people who have been in unhappy jobs for years. Some people stay lifetimes. They stay in careers for their entire lives that they hate because they are stopped by fear. They are too anxious to move past that because the fear of the unknown or what might happen on the other side of that paralyzes them. Or we all know or have been people who have stayed in relationships that we were miserable in for lifetimes. People stay in relationships that make them absolutely miserable because they are terrified of what life is going to look like on the other side of that. And the first step to overcoming this, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether you're just unhappy with any area of your life, is to admit and to openly say, I'm anxious about this, I'm worried about this, I'm afraid of this, but I am not a worried, anxious, fearful person. I have a habit of doing these things. And because this is just a habit, I have the power to change it. So I encourage you this week to, one, openly admit and identify the areas in your life that are holding you back because you are afraid, because you are anxious, because you are fearful. It's okay to feel those feelings. And like I said, even if you need to set aside time to feel those feelings during the week, set aside a time every day and worry for 10 minutes. Get it out of your system, and then you got to move on, brother and sister, because you don't have time to move forward and be successful if you're sitting around feeling anxious your whole life. So start making changes today and think about the next steps that you need to take in order to make your life better and to stop having this habit of worrying, being anxious, because life is too short. And I can tell you, as someone who used to be super anxious, as someone who used to be super worried about everything all the time, who stayed in a relationship for years and years and years because I was afraid and I was terrified of what life could look like on the other side, I can tell you, as this person who has overcome this, that with practice, you can get better and better at this, and you can change your life. But you have to take action. You can't sit around and worry and be anxious and expect that things are going to change on their own. You have to put in the work, but it is possible to overcome. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I wish you all a beautiful week. I hope you all have a fantastic week. And again, happy Father's Day to all the awesome dads. And Ty and I are going to go put this laundry away and get ready for bed. And he looks really dirty, but he actually had, Ty, do you want to tell everyone why you have a black face?
Because I went to football and had glare.
He's got glare under his eyes because he had flag football today. And it was the championship, and tell us what happened.
I won.
Ty's team won the championship. Champions of the world. Right here. All right, you guys.
14 flags I got.
14 flags.
Or something more than that.
It was epic. All right, guys.
Epic.
Have an amazing night. Bye.